So, why did I put this workshop together? Um, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. So, the reason is I wanted to talk to you about why diets don't work, share some tips for overcoming your hunger, conquering cravings, and emotional eating. And I also want to share the biggest mistake we make when trying to lose weight. And just to give you a little idea of who I am, my name is Barbara St. Louis. I am a health and fitness coach. I am certified as a personal trainer and also a fitness nutrition specialist. And my specialty is I help busy women um, who have struggled with yo-yo dieting, have tried lots of different things. I help them live a healthy, balanced lifestyle without restrictive diets, without spending hours in the gym. And although I'm a health and fitness coach, like I said before, I've also struggled with yo-yo dieting and sustaining weight loss. I used to be that person who was constantly starting over. Come New Year, I've tried lots of diets myself, and I used to always end up falling back into my old habits and ending up right back where I started. And as many of you on this call, I used to have shiny object syndrome, always looking at the latest diet trend, thinking it would be the answer. I know what it's like to look in the mirror, not like what you see. You really want to feel better, look better. And sometimes you just get discouraged. There's so much information out there. So after years of constantly starting over myself, reading diet book after diet book, following fitness professionals, I finally found something that worked for me. I found that missing piece to the puzzle. And no, it wasn't another diet. And my goal in this presentation this evening is to have you come away with some strategies and tips to help you break that yo-yo cycle. So truly, the key is to stop putting a Band-Aid on the problem, but really digging deep to understand why it is that you might emotionally eat, why it is that you have those cravings, so you can get off that diet roller coaster and lose the weight for life. So that's my goal for this presentation tonight. Does that sound good? All right, well, let's get started then. So some of you are dialed in. Some of you may be looking at my computer screen. I'm sharing my screen with some slides. And my slide that I'm showing right now just talks about the top challenges that I heard from people that I was working with. So I took a poll to see what women that I was working with, or women who were on my email list, women who followed me on social media, women who were in my group, asking them what were their biggest challenges when it came to achieving their goals and living a healthy lifestyle. And it was really interesting to see the responses. Over 65% of the women that I polled said that they needed the most help with emotional eating and that they struggle with snacking on junk food or sugar. And then next up, they said that they had a difficult time staying consistent with diet, exercise, or just overall healthy lifestyle habits. And as I've coached women myself, I often hear that they tell me that, the working out, they sometimes, they don't have the motivation, but their true struggle is with nutrition, and that they start off strong and then they fall back into their old habits. They tell me that they lack willpower, they lack discipline. And then what they end up doing is they decide they want to restrict their diets more or exercise more. And then, after a long, hard day, you feel like, okay, I can reward myself. I worked hard for this, and you end up indulging. So that was some of the information that I got from women who I was talking to. So that's why I wanted to put this presentation together, because I've been hearing this constant challenge about sticking to healthy eating. And for those of you who just joined, if you have questions that come up, jot them down, hold on to them. I will save some time at the end to take questions. I'll unmute anyone who's muted, and you'll be able to ask questions. All right, so next up, I want to talk about why we are where we are. So why is it that so many of us are trapped in this vicious cycle of gaining and losing weight? You hear it all the time. America has an obesity crisis, and not everyone on this call may be from the United States. You may be from other countries, and you hear it in your countries as well. And of course, with obesity comes what? High blood pressure, diabetes, lots of other chronic diseases. And experts are saying that this generation of youth that we are within now, they are projected to be the first generation to die earlier, 20 years earlier than their parents, because of diseases caused by being overweight. And these are diseases that are usually diagnosed in your middle age. And how did we get here? How is it that we've gotten to this crisis? Well, there are top 5 reasons. Actually, I'm going to share 4. So 1, processed foods overload. You see them in the supermarkets, vending machines. Processed foods are everywhere. And in the effort to make food less expensive and more convenient, these foods are filled with chemicals, filled with additives, dyes, sodium, empty calories, and we're eating these foods. And when your body isn't getting the nutrients they need, it craves more food. So that's 1. 2, supersized portions. You go to the fast food restaurants or any other restaurant, the portions are supersized. And then also, our plates are larger. If you look at our portions that our parents had years ago when they were our age, the portions are just much larger. And of course, if your plate is larger, you're going to fill that plate. And so the more you're going to eat. A 3rd is fast everything. So not only are we eating fast food, we want fast results. Everyone is busy on the go. So 1, we're eating while we're multitasking, right? And when you're not sitting mindfully eating, a lot of times you're mindlessly munching on food. And before you know it, you've eaten a whole bag of potato chips. And then also, many times people don't have the time to cook. So we're depending on fast food, takeout, and these foods are loaded with fat, sugar, sodium, hidden calories. So that is another contributor. 4th is stress, sleep deprivation. When we are stressed, when we're not getting enough sleep, which comes with all of this fast-paced society that we're living in, our body produces the stress hormone cortisol, which packs a triple whammy because cortisol slows down your metabolism, also affects your blood sugar, it increases your fat storage, and it promotes cravings for fat, salty, and sugary foods. So those are the top reasons why. So let's talk a little more about cravings, okay? And why we get them. We all struggle with them. I know I do. And I'm sure those of you who are listening are struggle with them too. But that craving is a message from your body. So the more we listen to that message, the more we learn about how our bodies need to be cared for. But we really need to understand what that message is. So one, cravings can be triggered by sights, sounds, aromas, environment. And I'll give you an example. You know, you go into the mall, you walk by the pretzel stand or Cinnabon, and just the aroma itself can trigger a craving. Also, emotions. We're going to emotions a little bit later, but emotions like stress. If you're stressed because you have a deadline coming up, you're stressed because you have to do something you don't like to do, like your taxes. Maybe even it could be associated with a happy emotion because maybe as a kid you were given chocolate as a treat for being good. So you associate chocolate as a reward food or a treat food. Um, and the other signals, it could be that you need to rest, you need to recharge, or you might need to release some pent up negative thoughts that you're feeling. Um, or it could be that you need to seek out connection with a friend. A lot of times, cravings that are triggered by emotions are telling you something like that. Sugar is another one. From my education, I've learned that the food industry has created foods that increase our food cravings. Did you know that they hire food scientists to create these foods with taste and textures that are really hard to resist? So these scientists, it's their job to find the perfect pleasure point of that food that they're making. And so your brain associates that pleasure with that food, so you want more of it. And of course, these foods are sugary, they're processed, they're not giving your body the nourishment that they need. So you're going to still feel hungry and you're going to be eating more. So that's a big one. And a scary statistic is that the average American consumes about 150 pounds of sugar a year. Now that's crazy. I read that and I'm like, no, that's hard to imagine. But if you really think about it, their sugar is hidden in so much of our foods. It's in cereals, it's in fast foods, it's in flour, it's even in salad dressings. And a lot of times these products that are labeled as healthy are loaded with sugar. So we really have to read the labels. Sugar is in so many of the foods we eat, and it can really be addictive. Another one is nutrient deficiencies. So sometimes a craving is the cause of you having a nutrient deficiency. So if you're not eating enough nutrient-dense foods, then your body is going to start craving certain things. So you really need to shift to eating more nutrient-dense foods, and then you will see those cravings disappear. So let's talk about 9 ways that you can deal with cravings, okay? So 1, don't skip meals. When you're super hungry, it's easy to make poor choices. You might think that, I know we're all very busy, and you might think that you're reducing calories for the day, but the problem is that by mid-afternoon, if you haven't eaten a good breakfast or snack, that hunger hits in with a vengeance. And then we give in to the temptation, we get mad at ourselves for failing, and then because we're stressed about giving in, then we're going to eat something more. So it's just a big cycle. When you're spreading out your meals as evenly as possible throughout the day, then that really ensures that your blood sugar levels are more stable. And it also helps with energy, which when you're low in energy also can cause cravings, because a lot of times sugar cravings are our body's response to needing energy. So eating balanced meals throughout the day, your energy level stays up, thereby you're reducing your cravings, okay? 2, this sounds simple, but don't keep it in the house. If it's not in the house, then you won't eat it, right? You're less likely to get in the car and go buy that ice cream. So if you want to make good choices, I always tell people, only keep good choices in the house. If you have that stuff in there, it's more tempting. So stock your kitchen with whole foods that fill you up, satisfy your hunger, give you the nutrients that you need. And of course, that's going to help reduce the cravings. And after a while, you won't be craving those sugary, junky things. Third is eating enough protein and healthy fats to keep you full throughout the day. So in the 80s, there was this low-fat diet craze. Everyone wanted to be in low-fat diet. And we've learned over the years that we really do need fat in our diet, especially healthy fats, avocados, olive oils, avocado oils, you need those healthy fats in your diet. And those really help with absorbing vital nutrients, the vitamins and minerals. They're also a source of energy. And a lot of times when these companies are taking the fat out of a product, that means that the taste changes. And what do to make it taste better? Well, they add more sugar. So the low-fat foods, they may not be filling, and they may be higher in sugar. So we want to make sure you're including healthy fats. Also, lean protein helps you stay full. It helps to suppress your appetite. Also, it helps to increase your metabolism, because when you're eating protein, it has a high thermic effect. What that means is it takes your body more energy to digest that food. So you're burning more calories, you're increasing your metabolism. So it's really good to try to eat a lean protein with every meal. All right. Fourth, get enough sleep. Now, I am saying this, and I know I'm a bad one to be telling anyone this, because this is one of the ones that I struggle with. But really, sleep is a big deal. Think about the difference of how your day goes when you wake up tired versus how you feel after your day, you've had a full night's rest. And there are a lot of studies out there that tell us that people who have poor sleep habits are way more. And that's interesting. And there are lots of reasons for this. When you're sleep deprived, you eat more calories. And also, the reward center of your brain is more active when you're sleep deprived. So it means that you're more likely to seek pleasure. And where do you go for pleasure? Is junk food. And also, your hormones for hunger and blood sugar regulation get affected when you're not getting enough sleep. So sleep is tied into this as well. So please, I know it's hard. We're all busy, but try to get enough sleep. Fourth, I'm sorry, sleep was fourth. Fifth, know what you're eating. Read those food labels. So I remember growing up, we always looked at calories and the fat on the labels, but not the actual ingredients. And that's really important, because sugar is really hidden, as I mentioned before, in a lot of things. And it's disguised under a lot of different names. If you Google different names of sugar, there are over 50 names that you could find. High fructose corn syrup, sucrose, dextrose, maltose, I could go on. But it's really hidden, and you could have more than one thing listed on one food product. So before you put something in your grocery cart, take a look at those labels. And this is something interesting as well that I learned. is that the front of the package is designed by the marketers, okay? The back, where you have the nutrition label and the ingredients, that's made by the nutritionists, the people who are required to tell you what's in the food. So something might be labeled as healthy or natural on the front, because remember, the marketers are going to want you to buy it. It might be labeled as whole grain, but it's not really. So you have to look at those ingredients. They're not regulating those labels on the front. Things like bread these days has a lot of sugar. Even yogurts have a lot of sugar these days. So you really have to look at them. And if it seems overwhelming to you, there's a great app that I like to use. It's called Fooducate. And you can install it on your phone. And what you do is you scan the barcode on the label of foods, and it gives the food a grade between A and D, and also the reason for the grade. It's a fun way to start looking at your food, and you can scan stuff that you already have in your house. All right. So the sixth reason to that can help with reducing cravings is eat something healthy first. When that craving kicks in, go for something healthy. Don't tell yourself you can't have it. Because once you tell yourself you can't have something, you're going to want it even more. So say, I can have it, but first I'm going to give myself something nutritious like this banana or apple with some almond butter. Then by the time you're finished with that, see if you still want that craving is still there. I tell you, you're less likely to give into that craving. All right. So next, use healthy sweets. That's the seventh one. Sometimes we reach for something sugary, but a lot of times that's out of habit. Did you know that 40% of what we do each day is purely the result of habit? So maybe you pour yourself a cup of coffee and then automatically, out of habit, you want a donut or a bagel. Or maybe before dinner, it's a habit to nibble on a cookie just to hold you over. Those habits you might want to change to something healthier, something packed with fiber that will help you feel full and satisfy your body. So find some fruits or something that you and your family like and keep those kinds of things on hand. Eighth, ask yourself if you're craving something besides food. And that's really important because a lot of times our cravings are not about food. They're not about lack of willpower. It's about something else that's causing us to feel pain or uncomfortable. And then our brain is seeking some pleasure. So ask yourself, is it really food or is it a symptom of a bigger issue? And we'll talk about that a little bit more, what the root cause could be. And then ninth is water. I'm not even going to go into all the benefits of water, but a lot of times we mistake hunger for thirst. So drink some water, and that really, staying hydrated helps as well. So those are the 9 ways that you can reduce cravings. And just overall, just remember that going on a strict diet or things, when you're telling yourself you can't eat something, those are the things that cause you to binge. You feel that you can't have something, you lose control, you're sick of being controlled, then you give into that, and then what happens? You feel bad about it, and then you give up And then later on, you see an ad for some program with this woman who has a great body. You wish you looked like her, you know, and then you're starting all over again. So these were just some tips to help you reduce those cravings, all right? And understanding the connection between what you eat, why you eat it, how you feel, will really help you feel more in control. So try to determine why those cravings are kicking in, the underlying reasons. A lot of times it's not about the food. We just need to figure out what we really need and then make better choices. All right. So let's talk about, let's see what I have next up here. Why diets don't work. Let's talk about that. So diets are, again, restrictive, right? 80% of people who have lost weight on a diet regain all of it or more after 2 years. That's crazy, right? The main reasons diets don't work is because of 3 things, okay? 1, they have a start and end point. So you're gonna start a particular day and it's gonna go for a certain period of time. A much healthier alternative for your mind and your body is making small, gradual changes over time. So you shouldn't put an end to your healthy journey, right? It shouldn't stop. Why would you want to stop being healthier? If you make small, gradual changes over time, that doesn't seem as hard. And you can keep up with that long term for life. So instead of doing something drastic for a short amount of time, start by doing small changes, drinking more water, going for a walk a few times a week. And then once those small changes stick, then you keep adding on, and it's much easier to keep up with and fit into your lifestyle that way. And then you can look back and say, wow, I've made all these changes, but it really wasn't that hard, right? 2, diets are restrictive. So they make you cut something out, right? Usually it's something like carbs, fats, you're lowering your calories. It's all about cutting things out and saying no. And these are just not good things to do because 1, carbs, fats, food, all of that stuff you need. You need them to function. You need to fuel your body. You need to get through the day. Carbs have such a bad reputation. I'm not going to go on a tangent about how I feel about carbs. Some of you who have worked with me know how I feel. But the function of carbs is to give you energy, right? And to help your brain function. And that's why when you're cutting your carbs, you find that maybe you're hangry, you're hungry, and you're angry. So your brain is not functioning properly because you're lacking energy. So it's more realistic to eat in a way that is balanced, and it's based on your activity level. So find out how much food is good for you for your activity level, and get to know your body. Get to know how your body reacts to eating certain things. Okay, maybe your body doesn't react well to eating starchy carbs, but don't tell yourself you're not going to eat them completely because that's just too restrictive. 3, diets focus mostly on weight loss, right? And you can lose a lot of weight very quickly, just easily by cutting down on how much you eat and exercising a whole lot. But you can't create a lifestyle doing that, right? You're going to hate it. So what I encourage people to do is to focus on fat loss, because ideally what you want is to maintain as much muscle as possible and decrease your overall fat percentage. That means that you're going to have a nice defined look and a body that you're proud of, right? Instead of losing a lot of muscle and end up being what we call skinny fat. Um, when you're obsessing about the numbers on the scale, a lot of times when you're losing weight, you're losing muscle, water, and fat. You want to focus on maintaining that muscle and losing the fat. All right, so those are the reasons why I don't like diets and why they don't work. And I just want to encourage you that on the same reasons, okay? So we've spoken about diets and why they don't work, right? So you might be wondering, so what does work? Well, the next step is to figure out why it is that you're eating, you're craving, you're emotionally eating, you're not sticking to your plan, right? So you know how you should be eating. Most people know, but why is it that you keep going off of this? So let's talk about emotional eating and the top reasons that people emotionally eat, all right? So most diet plans out there will tell you just to eat less, move more, which in theory, okay, will help you lose weight, but there's only so far you can go. What if you've been eating less, you've been moving more, and the weight still isn't coming off? Are you just going to keep eating less and less until you're hardly eating anything and you're exhausted because you're exercising? That's not sustainable. It's no way to live. So the thing is, a lot of these programs fail to address it's not always about the food and the exercise because a lot of us emotionally eat. We might be upset, we might be tired, we might feel we need a treat at the end of a long day. Whatever the reason is, we've all emotionally eaten at some stage in our life. And you're using the food to comfort yourself instead of addressing those emotions. And you emotionally eat one, exhaustion, like I said, emotions, stress. Sometimes you're avoiding something, procrastinating on something you want to do, or you're just too busy. So those are the top reasons. Let's talk about what the difference is between emotional hunger and physical hunger, because a lot of times people will tell me, I don't emotionally eat. You don't even realize that you are. Emotional eating is not always easily identified. So here are some patterns that are helping you to identify whether you emotionally eat or not. So when you're emotionally eating, the hunger comes on suddenly and the need to eat feels urgent. Physical hunger comes on slowly and it's okay to delay it a little bit, right? You keep eating even if you aren't hungry anymore. That's another sign of emotional eating. It doesn't go away even though you are full. 3, you eat to the point of physical discomfort. 4, it could be that you don't know whether you are hungry or not. You just ate. 5, it could be that after you realized you weren't really aware of how much you ate or how it tasted. So you've eaten and you didn't even really, it didn't register because you were eating like with a vengeance, as I mentioned before. 7 or 6, I'm sorry, I'm jumping numbers here. You have feelings of guilt or embarrassment after eating. That's another sign that you're emotionally eating. 7, you might eat because you're bored, you're tired, you're excited about something, or you're lonely. 8, hunger accompanies an unpleasant emotion. So Emotional eating begins in your mind, thinking about food, and it's not coming from your stomach, and that gurgling that you get in your stomach. 9, it's a specific craving for food, and you won't be happy until you have that certain thing. If you're eating for physical hunger, usually anything will fill you up. And 10, you keep eating, nibbling, because you just can't figure out what you're hungry for. Nothing seems to hit the spot. Physical hunger usually goes away no matter what foods you choose to fill up on. So recognizing the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger can really make the difference. And it means that you're less likely to overeat. Because a lot of times we don't even realize we're overeating during the day. You just might be nibbling. Even if it's small amounts, it all adds up. All right. So after you've tried, just about everything, the low carb, the carb cycling, and I'll tell you, I've tried these things. I've done paleo, and you still haven't reached your goal, and you start to believe, you know what? I need to push harder. I need to restrict more. I don't have any willpower. So you exercise more, you restrict more. This, I found, is the biggest mistake we can make. And this is what I was talking about. What's the biggest mistake? And why is that? Because you're severely restricting your calories, all right, when you're doing that to your body. And your body responds by protecting you and slowing down your metabolism so that now so it won't burn as much calories, because it's thinking, oh, a famine is coming on. I need to protect myself. Also, when you're tired, you're exhausted because you're busy at work and home, and then you're torturing yourself at the gym because you're exercising more, your body responds by that hormone cortisol that I was talking about, and because it's feeling stressed. And where does it usually pack on the fat? On your belly, which is where we don't want it. And when we constantly feel bad about ourselves, we're judging ourselves, hating ourselves, criticizing ourselves, your body also sees that as a stressor. And it diverts all its energy away from digestion, absorbing nutrients, causing you to overeat because you're not getting the nutrients you require. So the problem is that we are busy. We're stressed. We're tired. We already have a lot on our plate. And food can be a convenient way to squeeze in a little reward. You might be mad at yourself. I don't have to tell you, chocolate is something you want to give into. So these are the things that really this is the biggest mistake you make, by thinking you need to work harder, because you're just adding more stressors to your body, and your body is going to protect yourself from that. So I just wanted to share that, because I have learned that the hard way. All right. So what can you do? I've been talking about all these things that we're doing. What can we do? So here are some action steps. 1, eat mindfully. So I've been trying to do this. It's not easy, but set a no multitasking policy while you eat, all right? Slowly eat. When you eat slowly, you eat less because you feel more satisfied. You're allowing your body to catch up, your brain to catch up with your body. And you're also allowing yourself to fully taste and enjoy the food you choose to eat. So that's 1, eat mindfully. And there's a whole system on eating mindfully, but I'm just going to cover it very shortly here. 2, instead of cutting out, start adding in. So if I were to ask you what you should change about your diet, you most likely are going to tell me all the things you should cut out, right? But I'm going to tell you to change that and start adding in things. So make it your mission to add in as many nutrient-dense foods as you can. Fill up on veggies, fruits, whole grains, lean proteins, healthy fats. Over time, your body is going to feel more nourished, satisfied, and you're less likely to want those sugary things. 3, keep a food journal. Now, I'm not a fan of tracking everything you eat or counting calories. I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm telling you to do is to write down when you ate, what you ate, how you felt. Were you physically hungry? Was it something else? Just do that for a week or 2. And once you do that, it really helps you to determine what really drove you into the kitchen and what foods you're likely to eat. So you can figure out your pattern. And then once you have that pattern, 4 is look at the why. So once you've documented the food journal, recognized a pattern, you can find healthier ways to cope. Identify the times of day you tend to overeat. So now you can get ahead of it. You can create advanced strategies for those specific situations. Okay, I get that call from that person, and I usually I grab something. So now you know ahead of time, and you can adjust it and tweak it. It's just to help you going forward. And 5 is create habits. A lot of times people tell me, I wish I could lose weight, but I'm just not motivated enough. You cannot rely on motivation. You cannot rely on willpower. Motivation is great. It's great in the beginning, but it fades. It fades. So you really have to focus on building habits that really can be easily integrated into your life. Sticking to something too strict for too long, it leads to a rebound effect. And I read this great analogy somewhere. It's compared to like pulling a rubber band back. The harder you pull, the harder it snaps back on you. And that's the same as, when you're on a diet. Now, if you want to change the size of that rubber band, you can slowly stretch it day by day, just like your habits. So once you build those habits, they become automatic, no motivation or willpower required. So these are my tips for sustainable weight loss without dieting, without depriving yourself. Instead of focusing on taking control of food, start by unlocking the reasons why the food has control of you. What are you truly hungry for? How does that entire bag of chips or cookies help you cope? How does it make your life easier? How does it keep things moving in your life? Getting these answers and having the tools and the strategies to do things differently is really the first step you can take if you're really serious about leaving your struggles behind forever. Then you'll be able to take that next step and implement those healthy habits. But you really have to get to the why. So if what I talked about today resonates with you and you're ready to go deeper, I have a special invitation for you. I want to invite you to join my upcoming Diet Freedom program. So it's something that I put together because I felt that there are a lot of women out there who are doing the same thing that I was doing, chasing those shiny objects, but not really getting to the reason of why they're struggling with the food. And this Diet Freedom program, it's not another diet plan. What it is going to help shift your mindset and unlock your emotions. You don't need another diet plan. All of the diet plans out there, they're so similar because what you need is to figure out what you eat and why you eat it. It's a 6-week program. What you do is we will, it's going to help you understand what you're truly craving and provide you with simple, easy strategies to move beyond dieting and overcome those struggles with emotional eating. What do you get in the program? So it's going to be in a private Facebook group, and you'll have access to me, and you'll also have weekly guides. I have workbook, lots of worksheets that we've done, a food and mood journal, everything that will give you the tools that you need. Also, I'll have 4 online classes within the group where you will be able to, I'll give you an assignment for that week, and you'll have action steps. And it's all part of the system to help you transform your relationship with food. You'll also have the option to ask questions. If you can't join us live, everything will be recorded. There also will be, so those were 4 weeks. There'll also be 2 weeks of support and implementation time. So you can use this support and implementation time to implement what you've learned, also to ask any questions. So the way that the program is laid out, week 1, we focus on listening to your emotions, so uncovering your emotions. Week 2, we focus on discovering what your triggers are. Week 3, we focus on releasing the restrictions. Week 4, we focus on healthy habits, and I give you healthy recipes. I give you a healthy habits cheat sheet. So everything that you will need to build meals on your own. It's not a meal plan, like I said. It teaches you how to eat to nourish your body. And it's all in a private space for people who are participating in the group. And you get support from me and others. And you'll also get the accountability you'll need to do the assignments and to make really lasting changes. So it's called Diet Freedom. And I will send those of you who signed up for this webinar a link on how to register for the program or sign up. We start on October 17th, and it's going to be limited to a small group of people because of the close interaction and support that's in the group. So I'm limiting it to a small group. And right now, I haven't launched this yet. So this webinar is the first time I'm going to be talking about it, but I will be telling others about it. So it's going to be a great supportive environment. And I really feel that it's that missing piece to the puzzle that will really help. If you've had troubles making changes in the past, I want to show you that this time can be different. You have someone to encourage you, to support you, and to show you exactly what to do so you can have long-lasting success. All right, so it is 7:53, and I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Hopefully this was helpful for those of you who are attending, and I'm going to open it up to questions. Let's see, I'm going to unmute and see if anyone who is on has any questions.
What's the cost of your program, the Diet Freedom program?
No? Let me check the chat.
Hi, Barbara. Can you hear us?
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I'm excited to be able to share this information with you. I hope it was helpful. And again, I will send out the information on how to sign up for Diet Freedom. I'm excited to share this program because it's really what's helped me, and it's helped others on their journey. And I'm excited to get started if you're interested. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message, email me, and I look forward to talking to you. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye.